Hey, and welcome. Miss Kira Speaks. Please do your girl a huge favor and stick around to the end of the video. Hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications. We're back again for another episode of Snowfall Season 6, Episode 2, The Sit Down. So when this episode opens, they give us a quick little flashback to 24 hours ago, and we find out what really happened to Parissa. And I must say, your girl was underwhelmed. They set the scene back up. Teddy's calling her on the walkie. Ruben is walking past and he hears it. And then Parissa jumps out the car and takes off running, and she hops over a fence. And then we see some cops just copping, and they pick her up. I was like, are you serious? So indeed, she was locked up in the jail when Teddy came to pick her up. She says she doesn't want to go to the hospital. She just wants to go home and sleep. Teddy's asking her if she saw the guy's face before she took off running, and she said yes. Again, I was shocked and surprised because later on in the episode, Teddy has somebody sit down with her. I'm assuming it's somebody professional or from law enforcement to take a sketch of the dude's face, which we know is Ruben. We see Unc, and he's talking to Louie, and he's telling her what happened, and she's just not buying that they didn't know where the stuff was. And Unc basically reveals that he thinks he might have killed her. Child, made my stomach turn, and I know Louie is still tight from getting shot before. So Franklin goes to the hospital to check on Black Diamond, aka Beverly, and Dallas tells him that Big D must have told them where we was going to be at. Told who? Jerome. The look on Franklin's face. So then while he's standing there, we overhear the conversation between the surgeon and Dallas. She says her skull was fractured and the blunt trauma caused extensive hemorrhaging. They tried to stop the bleeding and relieve the pressure, but she apologizes. Franklin looks so hurt as he tries to apologize to an upset Dallas. Damn. R.I.P. Black Diamond. I guess it's back off to BMF to put them things on Charles's back. So to wrap this whole thing up, later on we see Franklin, and he goes to visit Dallas at her home and to tell her that whatever she needs, time and money, he got her. He says it's all good, and she says she's out for good. They had a pact if something happened to the other one that they had to leave. No questions asked, no revenge, just take the kids and go. Child, and when that little boy came over and asked when mommy was getting there, I was not okay. We see Cissy come to get Franklin for this meeting, and he's upset, but he won't tell her why. Let's skip on over to the meeting where they meet Ruben at the museum. Franklin and Ruben, they go walk and they talk, and they're talking about Cissy, and Franklin is saying that she blames the CIA for all of this and that she would do anything she can to get back at them. So they chop it up a little bit more, and long story short, Franklin tells him he wants Teddy McDonald alive. Ruben says he can deliver, but first he needs proof that the CIA has been importing and selling that white girl in the US. Is this something you can provide? He can't give him pictures or him on tape, but Franklin asks him, what is it that you need? Ideally, some branch of your law enforcement's arrest, CIA officers in possession of said white girl, and large amounts of cash. Franklin doesn't know where Teddy keeps his product. You two are still conducting business, yes? Well, as we know, as of 2 days ago, nope. But he does know who's taking his place as the main distributor, his auntie and uncle. He needs to know everything he could tell him about Teddy and his operation. How they met, their interactions, things he saw, what he learned. The full scope of the relationship, and we will see just that later on when we see him listening to some of Franklin's recordings. So in the car, Cissy Nosy Mama wants to know what they talked about. Everything he wanted to hear, which happens to be the truth. So Cissy is asking him what he wants. And Franklin's like, he wants his money back. He wants to marry V. He wants to have the baby. He wants the life that he was so close to having until Teddy ripped it away. And fighting with Louie and Jerome is going to give you that. You know Franklin don't care. He's like, anybody coming after him can get it. It ever occurred to you that this is exactly what Teddy wants, to wipe each other out so he doesn't have to do it? So now you know Cissy gonna give those mama gems, and she goes on having this conversation, talking to him about how we're destroying ourselves for them. Franklin believes that even if he wanted to, he can't stop it now. And she says, if she can help open the door, would you be willing to walk through? So we see Franklin and V have a talk, and she's asking him about Black Diamond and Dallas. And what she's basically trying to get him to understand is where this whole thing is headed. He tells her that Cissy wants him to sit down with Jerome, and she's like, your mother's not wrong. And I know she was sick, because that's the same thing she just told him, and he didn't want to hear it. And sidebar, was V's stomach that size last season, or was it just me? Get that in the comments and let me know. So I think he got a page and made a call, and he tells V that Kane wants to talk. And she tells him sitting down with Jerome isn't going to mean much if you're going to tell Kane how to kill him. So before he leaves, he's giving his I love yous, and she's like, prove it. You want to show me you love me? Then do that by making peace with your family. So when he meets with Kane later, he takes what V says to heart, and he says that they're staying at a hotel, but he doesn't know which one. Since the shooting, the club, and the warehouses are hot, and it isn't going to be easy, but Kane, he don't want to hear none of that shit. And he heard that the cop that shot him ain't a cop no more. That said, find him, or he's going to start thinking that Franklin changed his mind and he's going to be on the wrong side of things. So Gustavo arrives to meet Tony. He's with two more people, I think the DEA agents, and Gustavo is not happy, but Tony does not care. He needs his protection. Later, when they get to the location, he asks if Teddy ever brings the product personally. He says not anymore, and Tony's like, Teddy is the prize, and you gonna help me get him one way or the other. So while they're in the tunnel, Teddy pages him, and Gustavo is stressed out, as he should be. So when he gets on that phone call, Teddy tells him he needs to leave now and meet him at the warehouse. When he hangs up, Gustavo is asking Tony if he took care of the hospital, and he says one of his people took care of it that day. And Gustavo's like, you're gonna get my family killed. Like I said, pressed. But he's not wrong, and Tony's trying to tell him the paranoia will only get worse. Teddy doesn't know anything. It's all in your head. And I say, you, sir, do not know Teddy McDonald. So earlier when Unc and Louie were meeting with their St. Louis Connect, they got a page, and apparently it must have been Scully, because we see them pay Scully a visit. He brings up them sending a cop to get the OG Kane. Louie is like, he came at us, but Scully is like, y'all have an ongoing situation. The whole hood is on your back. So Scully is making these lying references. And when he talks about joining the pride and being a family, Cissy keeps blowing up Rome's pager. You think that's a coincidence? So he encourages Uncle Jerome to call on his doggone hamburger phone. I chuckled. Scully tells him to fix shit with his family and Kane before karma comes knocking. We got this same message throughout this episode, people. So when they leave, Louie wants to know how Kane knew it was them. And Unc thinks it's the pig in the blanket, his words, that's starting to get out. Because the only people that knew were the two of them and Buckley. And Louie says, and Franklin. Oh, Louie. I mean, she's not wrong, but still. So Unc does indeed meet Cissy at the house for dinner, and these two start reminiscing about the past, but Jerome, he wants to know what she wants. You and Franklin are the last two men standing. The boy stole from me, pulled the gun on my wife, dropped bodies outside my club, turned you into a drug dealer. He asked when she's had his back that way, and I said, that is her child, and her only child at that. Maybe she hasn't, and it might not be fair, but it's on him. What are you going to do? So we see a lady at what looks like a gambling spot, and it's V's mom. And we know that because V walks in to have a little conversation with her. She's there for her help. They want to get Franklin's money back. She wants to know from whom? The United States government. Mom said she don't do governments, mercenaries. V says, you did it in the end, and Mom is like, nope, my dear, that was you. Now, they are giving us some background story on V, but your girl, she still has questions. V wants to know, are you going to help or not? How much money we talking about? $73 million. She's intrigued. So when V talks to Franklin about it, he isn't happy that she went to meet with her mom, but she tells him, she lets him know she's the one that just helped us behind the scenes launder that money. V's like, listen, has something else changed? Because we don't have a lot of options. Franklin wants to know, can you trust her? And she's like, I can trust her to be her. Sit down with her, see what she has to say. If she can help, cool. If she can't, they'll send her on her way. Franklin does just that and meets Mama Bear at the barbecue spot. And he wants to get straight to business. She brings up him getting V into mess, and Franklin's like, that's funny. She said the same about you. And yet you led her back to me. I said, okay, Mama. Touche. But when Ma'am asks for a 20% fee, Franklin is ready to go. She's trying to tell him, listen, there's another person who is responsible for taking your money. And it wasn't the CIA. He's like, how? Dummy accounts, forged documents, and impersonating you. She got Franklin's spidey senses tingling now. There's a short list of people that can do the job. She says to give her a week, she'll need to borrow V and a couple tickets to Panama. If she can find the person that Teddy used, she'll settle for 10% and a chance to have her daughter and her grandchild in her life. And me, I'm up for a little Ocean's 11. Oh, they're probably not going to show us that part of it. Although, actually, judging by the season trailer, they just might give us just a little baby bit. What are these kids doing? Child, so Teddy, he shows Gustavo the drawing of Ruben, but he doesn't know who he is. But later when he arrives home to an empty house, no baby girl, no kids, he's going to get him something to drink or eat, and he looks at the picture of on the refrigerator, and it's from Louis and Jerome's wedding. He's like, so he goes and meets up with Franklin a little bit later at a wrestling match. The small talk and the apology is lost on Franklin. Franklin's like basically, why are we here? Let's not waste everybody's time. So he shows Franklin the drawing. Teddy gave this to you. That picture is radioactive. He can tell him who it is after he gets Teddy, and he'll make him a rich man once he gets his money back. How much we talking? 10 million. Gustavo, he's trying to do his way, and Franklin's like, nope. Teddy first. And he knows where he recognizes him from. Jerome and Louis' wedding, right? You know where I am when you change your mind. And be careful who you show that picture to. Radioactive stuff poisons everyone who gets close to it. So we're in our ending scene, and Unc and Franklin meet up at the diner. Again, Unc wants to get straight to it, and Franklin's like, listen, the way I see it, I hit you, you hit me. Let's just call it a square and stay out of each other's way. Unc, he really doesn't want to hit any of that. And he gets into a quick little story about how he moved to LA from Texas. Cissy was in the Bay, but when he went to LA, he didn't have any people there. But he stuck it out. He got a job. He went out every night. He tried sex. He tried liquor, but nothing would make that, that hole go away. And then when Alton fell off, he told Cissy to come with him to LA. And with Franklin being there, he had a purpose, and he was going to raise him. And then it goes left. And look at you now. Is it my fault that you've become a scandalous, cutthroat, bitch-made nigga? I said, child. And Franklin's like, everything you have is because of me. Unc ain't convinced. And Franklin said he was going nowhere, doing nothing, selling dime bags, waiting on his B to come down from that sherm. I said, okay. Unc is telling him to watch his mouth. And Franklin, he's still going. Now, Franklin, he could be so self-righteous sometimes. But then again, Unc did just call him bitch made. When Franklin says he got played by the trick he married, Unc slaps the entire taste out of his mouth. Franklin tried to say another and pat, he slaps the taste out of his mouth again. I was like, oh my God, you ain't gonna do nothing? You ain't gonna do nothing? And then Franklin stands up and he pulls the strap on Uncle Rome. I said, Franklin, not in the people's diner. Unc's like, do it, do it. And Franklin, he's like, ah! And he screams before he walks on out. Both of them look so hurt, child. And then Franklin, he storms all out, walking across traffic, gets in his car. He's banging on the steering wheel. And that's where the episode ends. They're playing Slipping Into Darkness as we roll out. And it was just bringing back memories for your girl. Now, I didn't grow up in a household that played music, but we for sure listened to a lot of music. Anyway, how did you guys like the episode? Now, do you think that there's any going back for these two at this point? I don't know. The final season looks good from what we saw after this episode. I won't hold you. Put your thoughts and theories down in the comments, or just let me know you stopped by and join me back here for episode 3. Peace.